Meeting has been posted. Attendance roll call.
Mr. Bowman. Here. Mr. Buckmaster. Here. Mr. Strom.
Here.
Mr. Hyde.
Here.
Mrs. Warwick.
Here.
I'm here. Mr. Petpolsky.
Present.
All 7.
Thank you. Mr. Buckmaster, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on it? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to item 2, consent agenda. Could I get a motion for that?
Second.
All right. Is there anything in consent agenda that needs separate consideration or there's questions for? Hearing none, all those in favor of consent agenda say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 3, student representation. Do we have a student here tonight? No. We'll skip that and move on to item 4, public forum. This is your opportunity to present to the school board any concerns or comments that you would like to make. I have a card. Do we have a separate item for this?
Not tonight.
Okay. So I have a card for Sherry.
That's okay, I'll just say it.
Thank you.
Last name is Hippenbecker.
Okay.
Sherry Hippenbecker, address is 7431 West Twin Lake Road, is just right around the corner here. I have 2 children in the Muskego Norway School District. Briefly for Dawn Marish, we had our daughter Kelsey, who's a freshman now, and our son Gavin Hippenbecker, who is in 6th grade. Here to talk about something that hopefully will be an agenda item on March 19th, and that's girls hockey for high school level. I'm here just to answer questions initially, and then hopefully you have an opportunity to be able to vote on it next time. My daughter plays hockey at Shaw Hockey, wearing our jerseys here, number 12. Shaw Hockey is Southeastern Hockey Association of Wisconsin. It's based out of Wilson Park, which is about 27th and Howell or so. She's a freshman. She plays on what's called a bantam level. With boys, it's a co-ed team. When it comes to next year, there is no opportunity for her to play other than a boys co-ed team with check-in. Kelsey, would you be so kind to stand up? Imagine her playing a check-in sport with boys that are seniors and weigh probably 200 plus pounds. There's an opportunity for her to join a co-op team through the Glaciers, which is a Brookfield team. There's about 10 different schools that are part of the Glacier team. We would like to see if Muskego can join. The timing is somewhat critical because when you join, you have to apply by, this year it's April 2nd, for a 2-year contract, which would be 2018-19 season and 19-20 season. We're not looking for any financial commitment for the school district. We want to pay her own way. We simply want a door to be open for her to be able to play. Otherwise, her other option is playing, again, with boys and a checking sport. Again, no financial commitment to you. We're just looking for a door to be open. So we've spoken with Ryan McMillan. I know he's had a conversation with Kelly Thompson. There's at least one other girl that's interested, currently in high school, and there's a couple more that are coming up. So I'd like you to seriously consider expanding the sport criterion to include this. I also want to point in our school district, all of the teams in our sectional are part of a co-op, other than unfortunately Muskego and Oconomowoc, which is, I believe, joining next year with Arrowhead. So certainly would like to bring forward this opportunity for girls in our district. If there are any questions?
Unfortunately, we can't ask them tonight because in a public forum we can't interact with you. You can only listen. But if it is agendized in a future meeting, if you'd want to come to that and answer questions, then we can discuss it with you.
Appreciate that, and I appreciate all your support in putting it on the agenda for next time.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments for public forum? Going once, twice? Moving on to superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Well, I have the pleasure to start the superintendent's report with introducing Allison Eisch, who is the principal here at Lakeview, and the presentation for the board. Your turn. You have a team.
All right, thank you guys. Welcome back to Lakeview. As you can see behind you, we've had our 2nd annual Make a Change Fair. Last year you had the opportunity to listen to students present their projects for our first fair. And I'm going to hand it over to Kristen Mortier, who is going to give you a little bit background on how the fair has changed this year.
So last year our focus was really connected with our science units of environment for fourth grade and then energy, which included electricity, so looking at sustainable resources for electricity. This year we broadened the scope of what our projects were for, and the teachers began in the fall talking about the global development goals, which you saw referenced in the Kahoot. And they used a lot of high leverage strategies with our students to help them understand at a fourth grade level what those 17 global goals are and how we can help support those global goals. And so what the students did then is think bigger picture, broader, what can we ask people to do, what advocates can we become for change? And so they didn't just necessarily focus on our science units, they thought more globally. So some of them focused on bullying and how can we make a difference for bullying. Some of them focused on respect within our building and how can we increase the respect within our building. But then they also did still look at opportunities to research connected to science and the environment. Each one of their projects connects to a global development goal, but as they learned through all of their reading, the global development goals really connect to each other very broadly. So most of the projects have more than one global development goal that they're connected with because of that. The students also recognized that they sometimes were presenting a project that didn't necessarily immediately impact us here at Lakeview or something that we couldn't necessarily make a change because of our location. So they kind of broadened their horizons as well and said, this is what I'd like you to think about. I'm making an advocation for you to just become more aware of this and make some changes within your own life. So really trying to think globally, but still pulling it back to who we are and where we are and what changes can we make right here.
So last year we had you up and moving, and we plan to do that again this year. The difference is we have 4 rotations for you to go to, but all of them are connected to our fair, but then also highlighting the high leverage practices that the students use to create their projects, because we recognize that the district focus was perfect for the focus for the Make a Change Fair and all the work that we were doing here at Lakeview. So just as a quick reminder, we've got close reading, note-taking, questioning, academic conversations, student-led goal setting, and choice and voice. So what you will see in Station 1 is our 2 wonderful instructional coaches giving you an overview of note-taking and close reading, because those are strategies used throughout the research process. All students were annotating text and going back and finding the evidence they wanted to use in order to present their changes. Station 2, we have 2 students who are going to be with Miss Young, who's standing in the back, and it's an example of choice and voice because they have done their own recorder compositions. So hopefully, it won't be too loud. That station's right out in the hallway so that you have a chance to hear those students. Station 3, we have Ben Kreil here tonight, and he's kind of going to show you some choice and voice as well as some goal setting. Ben is one of our advanced mathematics students, so he goes to Lake Danune in the morning, and then when he comes to us, he's already had math. So he's worked with Kristen to develop projects based on his interests and his choice, and to further investigate. One of them you will see later. It's the air conditioning proposal that he'll be presenting with Jeremiah. But he's going to talk to you a little bit about some of the other projects. And if you look, he's even got a system similar to March Madness that's helped him narrow down his focus, which is perfect timing for that, right? And then our last station is Addison Reddick, Jordan Norgal, and Gabe Danielson, and they're going to show you Socratic circles, which is an example of academic conversations. So their project's centered around animals, treatment of animals, and shelters. And so they're going to demonstrate that discussion for you and what that looks like. What we've recognized here at Lakeview is that having those discussions really sets our students up for the writing, because they practice with each other, being able to state their case, go back to the articles, find the evidence to support their claims, and then that transitions really nicely when they have to do that in writing, which we all know goes all the way up to the doctoral level when you have to cite your sources. So that's a really great skill for them to start with already in 4th grade. So those are our stations. I don't have fancy music this time for us to move, so I'll just kind of come on I might have to go out by the recorders and let you know, when we're going to rotate. So everybody has a thank you note from our first graders here, and on the back there is a number. So just to orient you a little bit to where you're going to be starting, Station 1 is right behind you, and you'll see it says note taking and close reading. Station 2 is going to be our recorders in the hallway for choice and voice. Station 3 is right here with Ben, and Station 4 is in the back where the folding chairs are. So if we can ask you guys to find your number, and then we'll let you know when we're going to move.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a quick
You mean you want me to scroll?
That'd be great, yeah. If you would.
Check this out, you gotta see this.
That's awesome. Just so Jeremiah and I were sitting down, that's why we were.
Oh, yeah,
hailing out.
that's great. Thank you.
That is so cool.
Every time I see the Socratic method, it's hard for me not to break out in hives as I remember my law school classes with the Socratic method, which is not quite what it is here.
So at the beginning of this year, I got an email from a student who was standing with me who said in, I think, September, when is the Make a Change fair this year? Can I come back? Can I come back to the fair at Lakeview? So I invited them to the board meeting instead because that was less intense and a little bit less nerve-wracking for them than the fair. But they said yes. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Good evening, I'm Ella Syrak. And I'm Jess Horner. And we were former Lakeview students. We just left last year. We were 5th grade. We're in 5th grade at Lakeview.
So my first question to them was, why was their project important to them?
I think our project was really important because it taught us that no matter how old you are, you can always fight to make a change. And really, if you believe that you can make a change, you can achieve your goals.
The second question I asked was, why did you want to come back to Lakeview for our fair?
It was because I really wanted to see everybody do different projects, and I wanted to see everybody who like how they did it a different way, because they were going to make improvements, because last year was the first year they did it, so you're going to just try and make it a little bit better than it was last year. And so I wanted to see how everything was going to go this year.
And then the last question I had was, how did the fair make you a better student?
I think it made us a better student. It helped our studying habits and researching habits, because we got to explore more sources such as online and websites and visiting the places you want to see the change happen, and talking on the phone with people a lot of kids do.
And what was your project? Refresh my memory.
Good question. Our project last year was raising awareness for the Ronald McDonald House and Box Stocks collections. So, yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, ladies.
Good job.
Thank you, guys. Do you have any questions for me? Questions or?
Just a comment, again, I know I can speak on behalf of everyone, we so enjoy having students here. So thank you all for joining us for, the dinner time, and more importantly for what what you're learning and doing here. It was a nice breadth and varied presentation. And I know that this isn't like the cherry pick select few. This is all the children here who are just gaining such valuable, incredible skills. So thanks for letting us get a little sneak peek into that world, and it was very impressive. Thank you.
Anything else? Great. Well, thank you again, Lakeview, for hosting. And up next, Ben is here for his second project to talk with Mr. Jeremiah Johnson and his research around air conditioning here at Lakeview.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Jeremiah.
Hello.
So with me, I have Ben Kreil, and he's done some extensive research on air conditioning. Just to refresh everybody that when we did our referendum prioritizing, Lakeview air conditioning did not rise to the top of the scale, so it wasn't put on the referendum questions. However, it does still remain on the master plan, and we're still looking for creative ways to either fund or figure out how to get it done in the future. So I'll start by asking Ben some questions here, and then we'll get into his presentation. So Ben, what grade are you in?
I'm in 4th grade.
All right. And I see you have a lot of research time that you outlined up on the board there, but can you tell the school board here just how long you have been researching air conditioning for Lakeview?
I started sort of at the beginning of the year.
It's been so long you can't even remember. So aside from the school board, who else have you shared with? I think I heard you did some other presentation.
I shared with my class and Miss Sander, and I did another mini presentation with Miss Mortier and some other
desks there.
All right. So I understand that you put a video together, and I think we could take a peek at that video. Can you hold this for me?
So weird. It's so hot in here. I know. Is that it's so easy. Like that's why I stay in for certain reasons. It's so easy to concentrate during science to do my work. I'm sweating on my fax paper. I know. Are you guys too? Yes. So hot. Yeah. Please consider air conditioning.
Nice video production there, Ben. So, would you like to share with the board some academic reasons why you feel that air conditioning would be important to Lakeview?
Studies show if a classroom is above 77 degrees, then students cannot focus. Concentration tests are lower in humid, hot conditions. Without air conditioning, schools move students to places with air conditioning, sometimes doubling the class. Studies show students do worse in large classes.
Do you have any side effects for what it's like when you're really hot? What are some side effects? Oh, nice. Hey, what do you know?
Some effects are blurry vision, headaches, dizziness, nausea, confusion, unconsciousness, discomfort, loss of coordination, poor concentration, muscle cramping.
Thank you. So I understand as part of your research, well, why don't you share a little bit about this slide?
I researched about equity, fairness. Can you believe after this year, we are going to be the only school in the district without air conditioning? We have 348 students and no air conditioning.
I can believe it. I understand that a lot of your research had to do with BTUs and air conditioning. Can you tell us a little bit about what BTUs are?
BTUs are British thermal units. They're used to measure the wind chill factor, sort of how fast it cools off the room. We have some options for you. We did some research about it. We're not sure of labor costs or if maybe there would be a discount for buying so many or for a school. One option is PC Richard & Son Frederick Chill. It was rated 3.5 stars. BTUs, 19,000 BTUs. It was $639.97 times 32 units. That's how many classes in Lakeview do not have air conditioning. It would equal $20,479.04. Option 2, PC Richard & Son Frigidaire, 5 stars, 22,000 BTUs, $549.97. 32 units would be $17,599.04. Option 3, Sears Frigidaire, 4.5 stars, 25,000 BTUs, $699.99. Times 32 units equals $22,399.68. Some classes are not as big as others, so we may have to buy different air conditioning units based on the size of the class.
So of the three options that you talked about up there, did you have a recommendation to the school board?
Yes, I prefer option 2 because it has $549. It's 22,000 BTUs, but it's less than the 19,000 BTUs, I thought the labor cost of putting it in might make it more.
Good. Tell us, did we find any drawbacks? So these units are actually window air conditioners that can be installed in the room. Did we find any drawbacks to this system?
Yes, they would have to be put in the walls, and that would take some time. It couldn't be done immediately. And the noise and then if it has noise, it might affect the students when they're trying to learn.
Nice. Great job, Ben. Do you guys have any questions for Ben? All right, so oh, tell us, Ben. What was your main idea?
If you think about it, if tests are higher because of air conditioning, more people will want to move here into all the new houses and schools. Then there can be more taxes, making the cost of air conditioning slowly getting paid back in the long run. And the strategic plan, our vision is to be the district of choice.
Nice, well done. So, any questions for Ben?
I'll ask a question for Ben. How many, on the average size classroom, how many BTUs should you get? You've got three ranges there from 19,000 to 25,000, and you're recommending the 22,000. Would that be sufficient to cool the classroom?
Welcome to my world.
It depends how big the classroom would be.
Okay.
Like, if it was a small classroom, it could get the job done pretty easily. Medium classroom, yes. But a big classroom, I'm not so sure. Like,
What would you do for a big classroom then?
we could install one of the bigger models, doing different models in different classrooms depending on the need.
Okay. You did a lot of good research here, Ben.
I'll follow up with more information.
Any projections on energy expenses?
Energy costs related to this? We did not do that research yet. We did look at other systems, so while Ben was researching, it prompted me to do some research with an engineer as well, and there are two other solutions that we may need to explore. One of them would be rooftop units that would split classrooms. The cost is about $400,000, so a little more expensive than Ben's projected solution. The negative with that solution is that we would still be maintaining each classroom's cabinet heaters that are from 1956 and not changing any of the pneumatics in the building, and we would have a lot of rooftop units. The second solution, which would be the optimal solution, would be to have a chiller, such as the high school or Lake de Noon. Cost is $700,000 to $750,000. In conjunction with the boilers, it would make our entire system here because it would replace out all of the cabinet heaters. Pretty much new. We did boilers just a couple years ago. So those are some solutions we'll be looking at. The design phase of a system like that is close to 6 months, so we're a little bit far out to think about it for this summer, but maybe we can start thinking about it if the funding is there for next summer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson and Ben. Appreciate your
First
time.
presentation Jeremiah's been part of that got clapping after the end.
Oh,
To us.
All right.
I forgot to add that Ben someday wants to be a principal, so the second choice was building and ground supervisor.
All right. Our next item on the superintendent's report is the food service mid-year report. So Colleen and Lisa are here. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, so just a few highlights to start off tonight. We continue to see a growth and positive feedback at the Winter Green Cafe in the high school. It's an area where we can be creative in offering new items to the students, so that's been really fun since we've opened that. Chef Luke continues to offer new innovative ideas, and he's been traveling to middle schools once a month, and we're seeing growth there as well. And based on him introducing himself at the middle school level, I would anticipate higher numbers at the beginning of the school year next year in his line at the high school as well. We are in a new space in Mill Valley Elementary, in the gym anyway, while we transition to the new kitchen, and we're really looking forward to that, moving into that space so we can offer food cooked on site. Transporting food from the high school to Mill Valley does have its challenges, so we're really looking forward to having a little more control over quantities and quality at Mill Valley for next year. We are rolling out with Kids in the Kitchen in April at our elementary site, so that's where Chef Luke and I and some of our leadership team come out and we cook with the students. We teach them how to make recipes, we go through and they actually handmade dinner for themselves and their dinner that they can take home. And we did that last year for the first time, and it's a blast. And I look forward to sharing that success with you guys again and some pictures at the end of the year. And then March is National Nutrition Month, so we do trifold boards with a message, a healthy message to our students, put out as well as some promotional things, some giveaways and taste testing and some fun things like that. So exciting things going on.
That's great.
Yes. Yeah, it was fun to be in Mill Valley a few weeks ago and see finally we were not serving in the hall after so many years. So, and we're looking forward to that space. In your packet, we are going on to the average daily participation comparison year-to-date through January. And our average revenue continues to grow, and so that's all the revenue in the program for paid and free and reduced lunches at the elementary and the middle schools, and then all of the revenue that goes into the high school. And actually January swayed the average a little bit because January is an interesting month with testing and all of that. So we'll actually see that come up, I think, after February. So our total district lunches per day is 3,150. Last year was 3,046, and the year before 2,944. So the program continues to grow, and we're really, really excited about that. The middle school participation has gone down slightly, and one of the facts that we realized is that some of the elementary kids that weren't eating kind of now moved to the middle school, so that's swayed the averages a little bit, and that will kind of go into what we want to talk about as far as possibly looking at having the middle schools not participate in the National School Lunch Program next year. Just an idea that we want to put out there that we'll have time to discuss and think about. Any questions on the participation at all, or? No? Okay, so I mean, it's a healthy year. Our budget, our year-to-date budget through January is actually over where we planned as far as the bottom line slightly. We do have a couple big expenses that we will see. I think we have a dishwasher at the high school, so that expense will actually be in the next couple months' numbers. So that's about a $35,000 purchase. So that will bring that plan down just a little bit slightly. But as we see that we're doing well, we want to invest back into the program throughout the year. So that's exciting news. So the next thing that was in your board packet was really analyzing. Julie, Kelly, and I, and Colleen had a meeting and talked about what would it look like of pulling the middle school out of the National School Lunch Program and providing kids with things, foods that they like to eat that are not necessarily 100% whole grain, some better chicken products, and not have to follow the rules, so to speak. So we put the pencil to the paper, and just, again, it's just an analyzation to kind of see what would we have to make up to be able to do that and not have a loss in the program. So basically, if our our average lunches, meals per day is through January, so it's 267 paid, and 149 at the next tier. Chef Luke only visits once a month, so the average is way down because it's once a month, but we do have a lot of kids participate when he's there in his meal. Free is 79 and reduced is 19. So basically, between the two middle schools, we have 525 kids participating in lunches. So in order to see where we would have to offset the federal and state funding, it calculates out to about close to $500 a day. So how do we offset that funding and still provide meals to the free and reduced kids, which we still do at the high school and have for 3 years. So at first we raised everything $1 and then realized we wanted to just mirror the pricing that is at the high school. And again, that's just a place to start to say, okay, if we offered this meal at this price, this is what the revenue would be, and what would we have to increase a la carte currently in order to make the whole picture even through January. So basically, we have to increase our a la carte sales $84 a day in order for the funding to match what we're currently getting in reimbursements. Again, it's just a snapshot of an analyzation. Doesn't mean we have to follow that pricing, but we have to get to that, at least project what we're going to do in revenue so the program doesn't lose the revenue to be self-sufficient. So again, it's something to consider. We thought with the new space in the new middle school, we have a new look, a new program, and we can actually be able to provide things that kids want to eat. And I think the buying habits, you can kind of share some of the buying habits that you're seeing now.
Yeah, we're noticing that a lot of kids are bypassing the fruit and vegetable bar, although it's a wonderful thing to offer at all levels. A lot of our middle school students are just going for the entree. So in an a la carte program, they have their choice to just purchase that entree, and then if they wanted, additional sides to add to that, they could do that.
One of the things, when we looked at moving the high school out 3 years ago, we had also looked at the opportunity for our middle schools as well. And again, I think last year we looked at it. And at the time, our free and reduced counts were a little bit higher. Since then, we've seen free and reduced across our system drop. And so in order to make this program viable, we want to still be able to offer those free and reduced options for students. And so the program supplements that. The other thing that was a little bit difficult is when you're in the program, you have to follow the federal guidelines and be very specific as to how you're recording the information. And when we had Baylane combined with Country Meadows and the programs kind of mixed together, it was difficult to really separate out the food that was going just for elementary versus the food that was going just for middle school. So now that we have that opportunity to kind of separate out and have the elementary be all in one building and the middle school to be its own building, it gives us greater opportunity to look at the numbers independently. So again, this was just information for you. It's an option. We wanted you to be able to see the numbers, not making a recommendation at this point. We wanted you to see what it would take as far as fee increases and participation increases that we would need to make the program viable. Again, at the high school, we saw a slow start when we initially started. However, once those options change and students get used to those changes, we have seen participation increase significantly at the high school. So we would anticipate seeing that at the middle school as well. But if the board's not interested in seeing the price increases, or if you want us to explore further what other options we could look at as far as pricing, we'd be happy to do that. We just don't want to put too much time in if you're not interested at all in seeing us move this year.
So it's between the two schools, and I just took the 285 under the current program, so it's like 175 kids. So if you had 175 additional kids per day, you would make up about your 500. Mm-hmm. So is that possible to just do that, or was it, what did we see at the high school?
Well, at the high school, the first year, you can talk to me.
The first year, again, there was a number of school programs that that were a whole lot of the program. And so the first year, again, it was, we have to start thinking like were in the National School Lunch Program and reacting that way. And so we got better at, just making it more interesting and providing the things that the students wanted to have and participate in. And each year it has gotten better. So year 2 and year 3 this year has proven to be, again, just wonderful. So Chef Luke, for example, can just come up with a recipe and he doesn't have to follow it necessarily. And one example is soup. For example, soup really is great. A great soup maker doesn't have a recipe. They go into their refrigerator and see what they have and create something. In the National School Lunch Program, you have to have a recipe. So that's one example of that creativity I think that we've gotten much better at. Plus, we're not telling the kids you have to take half a cup of fruit vegetable, and that was also one of the challenges over the last few years.
And so, Chris, to answer your question, maybe not at first, the first year. But it's, as we've seen, if it would follow what the high school has done, we could probably say in the next 2 to 3 years that we would see and be able to make up that number with those students. But I don't know that we could guarantee that the first year.
So not necessarily going off the financial end of it, which is important. When we jumped from the National Lunch Program at the high school to our own, it's an easier choice for one, because by the time kids get in high school, parents aren't necessarily as influential what their kids are going to be eating, and they don't have as much control over it. Middle school, we're going down to 5th grade. You're going to have parents more concerned. So I guess one of the things before you come back to us and we talk about this further is survey the parents. Give them the information of, we're not feeding them French fries and Big Mac, obviously.
Right.
So you need to educate them a little bit about what it means by switching from or off the program to our own. It's still going to be healthy food, but so educate them a little bit on that and then get their input and come back to us with some of that data, because like I said, basically kids are going to eat what they're going to eat.
Right.
5th graders sometimes parents have a little more control over it. Not complete, but more.
Right.
And more concern probably too.
And they should.
Right.
And you said in these charts that we have, the pricing that you went with is the pricing at the high school?
Yeah. Again, that can be, it's just a place to start.
In that this will allow us to tweak portion sizes and things like that. One of the things that we hear on surveys a lot is that the portions are really small. So maybe the middle school portion wouldn't be quite high school size, but they could certainly be larger.
And then the price could come down a little bit too, from pricing and meals.
Any other questions? Okay, so
Thanks.
we can work on bringing survey information back and, okay.
But don't
Thank
just throw it out to me. You're going to have to kind of add information as far as what our thoughts are. So
We'll put context to it.
On the surface of, we want to be able to feed your kids whatever we can.
Right.
The ethics aren't good on that.
That's not, no.
Yeah.
And we obviously have the wellness policy that's now been approved, that we have to still stay within certain guidelines, even though they don't necessarily meet the federal, but there are guidelines that as a system we want to continue to follow, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay, the last item on the superintendent's report is actually an update on Warrior Nation, and this was a request from a board member, and so give a bit of an overview here.
I'm going to stand here and face all of you as Jeff. Make it awkward. Do you have enough, Jeff?
What's that?
Do you have it up on here?
No, it's PDF and board docs. So while Tony is pulling it up, you do have the PDF that was linked with this particular agenda item. So when it was asked at the last meeting if we could provide an update, seemed logical to really try to put into buckets different things that are happening around the nation. So one is membership. What's happened with membership over the course of time, the last couple of years that we've been with Warrior Nation. So we're going to provide an update with that. Also, connections, really important and integral part of Warrior Nation. Who have we been connecting and how has that been going? And then also currencies. So has Warrior Nation been able to bring in any types of monies to the system? If so, how much and for what? And then also, what are some of our very next steps relative to Warrior Nation? So why don't I begin with our membership. So currently our membership's at 465 members. It's grown quite a bit, actually, in the last couple months. In large part, we've been working with the graduating class of 1968. They are actually asking for us to help them with their reunion and connecting people from that particular graduating class. So we've had over 100 of those graduating members from 1968 actually joined the nation, and in large part, the reason for wanting to join the nation is to find out what's happening here in Muskego, Norway, to become reconnected with not only people, but also with what's happening at Muskego High School. The other group of people that we've seen a growth in membership was in large part because of the Turf Project. So as people were donating to the Turf Project, we had asked Gridiron if in fact we could have people directed to Warrior Nation website and to become members, and they said absolutely yes, and then they used Warrior Nation as part of the whole Turf Project and Turf campaign. So those would be the two groups that we've seen the greatest increase as far as membership, and that really in large part over the last couple of months has increased significantly. Some of the things that we heard that were benefits of people that have been joining, they really appreciate hearing stories of what's happening at Muskego High School. Reunion information has been something that they've really been able to connect with and to connect with different people that they graduated with. And then also there's a quarterly newsletter that's really for members only. And in that quarterly newsletter, we spotlight specific alumni and also just give some information about current happenings here within the district. So that really is where we've gone with membership. As far as connections, again, 1968 graduating class, we have a gentleman from that particular class that probably visits the Educational Services Center about every other day to check in to see, so how are things going and how can we further assist him in connecting with people. So we're using the website in order to connect all those different people to the particular reunion, and he has said that that's been helpful in getting more people to come to the 50th reunion of the 1968 graduating class. We've also seen the graduating class from 1998 and 2013 take a greater interest in us being able to support them in their particular reunion planning activities. Feedback thus far has been really positive. They've been grateful for the help and the support that we've been able to give them as far as connecting them with people and really helping them better just connect past and present. Next, currency. So has Warrior Nation brought in any type of funds? Has it generated any monies for the district? As mentioned already, we became the host for the Gridiron Turf campaign. So in other words, what did that look like? We actually created, from the Warrior Nation website, we created an avenue for Gridiron to actually use the Warrior Nation website to have people donate monies. They had a couple different options. One, they could have done it on their own and they could have paid a significant amount of money. Two, we could use the Warrior Nation website and connect it to the work of our district and also to try to build the nation and try to build interest and also to try to generate some revenue for that particular campaign. And it didn't cost anything. They did not need to pay a percentage of the revenue that they generated and the monies that are donated, unlike other sites where there's a portion of money that from donations that actually goes then to that second or third party that's hosting that particular campaign. So because we are already a Warrior, we're already connected to Alumni Nation, there was no additional money. So with that said, we have been able to generate through the turf campaign $19,125. All that money went back to the turf project. Again, we hosted that. Gridiron did the majority of the work. We created the website for them. And at this time, we don't know what the class of 1968 is looking to donate. They did say that they are looking to donate something this summer. Again, we don't know what that dollar amount is, but they did say that they were connecting with their people to give something back to the high school and to the district. And then lastly, some of the next steps. Last week, there was a meeting. We have a Warrior of Distinction board, and what that board is looking to do is to discuss nominations and a process as far as identifying our very first Warriors of Distinction class. So depending on process, there will be nominations that are going to come in, and next year we are looking to, at one of our probably one of our very first home games, when the weather is still somewhat decent, during halftime announce who those very first Warriors of Distinction are that have been standout graduates of Muskego High School. So that's one of the things. That's a next step for Warrior Nation and the board to work on that. Continue to provide support for connecting people and continue to grow our membership. And then the third thing that was mentioned here in the PowerPoint was really growing a directory for others so that other people can directly reach out from one member to the next. Do you have any questions?
So we didn't have to, I might have misunderstood you, and I apologize if I did. Are we paying Alumni Nation?
We have. We paid an initial startup fee, and we paid a second year fee to them, correct.
So the $19,125 that was raised isn't the net number after we take into consideration the fees?
Net $7,125.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
What are you talking about, Jeff?
We paid an initial startup cost to have Warrior Nation create, and this was 2.5 years ago, to create, help us create a database of people to reach out to. That's former graduates, community members, parents, et cetera, that we were going to be able to send this initial email out to and push out this, this idea in order to grow our membership. Also, to be able to have them create an initial website for us. That was part of the initial startup fee. And then to use them as resources to be able to further our work, which has been ongoing. And then there was a second year payment of $2,000. So it was $10,000 and then a second year payment
So
of
annual
$2,000.
cost of $2,000 going forward.
Excuse me?
Annual cost going forward is $2,000.
That is correct.
Has Alumni Nation helped you procure any advertising, sponsorship dollars, any networking opportunities, any cost sharing, anything?
I would say that those are some of our, those are some of our bigger next steps, Dean. It would be really nice to be able to get to that point. Absolutely.
It is part of their framework to allow that. You're just not taking advantage of it yet.
We knew that that would be our future, and that that was going to be a process that we needed to have infrastructure set up to do. They start off even talking with organizations and school districts about fundraising first and really getting the word out, and it takes some time. And so that was the first initiative, was to find ways to get people to get involved. And so having Gridiron raise those funds and having an opportunity to, host that is a great opportunity. We'll be doing our advertising and things like that through that system as well. That will be our tool.
And I would say that particular approach, the more people that we can network and have them see that there's an opportunity to reconnect with the high school that they went to, the greater the opportunity is that we're going to be able to reach other people that might be interested in supporting the district financially.
So we can certainly make this an annual review if that's helpful for the board to kind of just continue to understand how Warrior Nation has supported us, if that's of interest. Otherwise, as needed, we could do as well. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Moving on to other reports. President's report. In my content, you will see the results of our board self-evaluation, results of which, for the most part, going across all the questions, I'm not going to go through it line by line, but we are on track for responding in such a way that enables our superintendent to be successful in her mission. There was a question on there that had a number of us with the response of I don't know, and that is provides orientation for board candidates and new board members on expectations for student achievement. And the answer on that is yes, we do that. The question would be because we've all been on here so long, we probably don't remember, or policies have changed since then. So, but that is part of our structure. Beyond that, the only other recommendation is there was a part of that survey where we went through and prioritized either high, medium, or lower priority of a number of items. We were consistent in two things, pretty much, that a large majority of us had instructional leadership as a high priority, as well as professionalism. Probably third would be operations and resource management was a high priority for us. After that, it kind of all evens out, so it may be worth sometime in the future getting some clarification to administration on where we fall as a board for what those levels are, because say strategic leadership, we had 3 members say that was a high priority, 3 say it was a medium priority, and 1 say it was a lower priority. So that really gives no direction to administration of what us as a board feel on that. So.
Well, it gets a little hard too because you can make them all a high priority.
Well, and we specifically in the instructions said not to do that. So, we're supposed to put the thought into all of it and try to, rank these. So, and I'm sure everyone did at that point. It's just we're not, without having a discussion as a group, it's not giving any good information back either.
I guess I'm a little surprised by that. Well, I guess we don't need a discussion on it.
Well, if you have something.
I was just surprised on the professionalism being a high priority. I would think that's an expectation.
Well, it is, but it's when expectations are high priorities, aren't they? If you expect somebody to do it, that's when you just expect it. So.
I just expected that.
No, I think that's I guess it's all how you view that, but I don't think there's anyone up here that wouldn't be upset if we weren't having some professionalism coming out of this district, so that makes it a high priority. All right, so that's the survey for what it's worth. While we're on this, we are going to have a significant amount of turnover, possibly in this board in April. We should decide when we want to do our final year-end evaluation, if we want to do that before we have the turnover or at the end of the school year for Dr. Thompson. So just something to think about. Don't need to decide that here today, but maybe we'll do a survey on that through email that we get some feedback on when we want to complete that. I think it's probably better to do it before the turnover. So. Other board member reports.
So I had the pleasure of serving on a team with a young man, Frankie Spurka, from Muskego High School, who was nominated the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Student of the Year. And through his efforts over a 6 to 8 week timeline, and the good people of Muskego saw fit to donate over $22,000. And altogether, I believe the organization, which Bob and I were at the banquet, students throughout the state were able to donate over 170,000. And I believe that's almost 1,500 hours of solid cancer research, blood cancer research that will buy and provide. So I thought it was a phenomenal effort. Frankie led the team. That was the job, and just had an outstanding effort and experience. So hats off to him.
So statewide, they raised $170,000, and over 20,000 came from just Muskego.
Right.
So we got over 11, like 12% of all the revenue came from just us. That's phenomenal.
It was phenomenal, the work they did within all the schools. You know, it's just an incredible experience to be a part of a fundraising effort like that, focusing on research. And so it was definitely a learning experience for me, and it was, I think, Frankie just stood out and did a fantastic job.
So I have to ask on that, did he get one big one that kind of changed the average, or
no,
did he just?
he had no large one, and if you recall, he came before our board at Mill Valley, and just kind of wanted the board to know and was trying to pass the word and let people know what he was doing. And I'm not sure what the largest, but it was not a corporate sponsor. It came in and gave
No, gave him
$10,000. I think the largest donation was 200.
Wow.
You know, but it's, yeah, so these are all donations throughout from the, from the games, you know, the basketball games to, you know, each of the schools had they generated a program and activity for the fundraising effort.
Do you want a job with Warrior Nation?
It was just an amazing experience to go through that and see a young man basically tap in. It's tapping into the youth for what typically you just don't see. And I was very impressed seeing him navigate through that and actually taking charge and leading this effort. So very, very
be worthy of some recognition.
I was just thinking
Yeah,
the same
that's,
thing.
I was gonna email you that.
Yeah.
We also have Ashley Rhodey, who is the honored hero, and she is Muskego Norway student as well. So she was a part of it, and I think the neat thing about the culmination of the award ceremony that they had was really an impressive set of high school students throughout the state, and he showed very well. Had some fierce competition with some groups of students. He was a solo, and there were other students that paired up, and he still.
He's got a future in development.
Yeah, it was really good.
So, thank you. Thanks for the report. Very, very good.
I just wanted to take a minute to congratulate everybody who was involved in the musical. It was just, once again, just absolutely phenomenal. While it's not my favorite musical.
I would agree, but they did a great job. They got my attention.
The music from the pit was just unbelievable, and everybody on stage just did a great job. So hats off to everybody who was involved in that. And I also want to congratulate both the boys and the girls basketball teams on having a great season. It's when you're around those kids, like I am just about every week, you realize that we got a bunch of good kids on the court, and so it's, while they didn't achieve the success I think they would have wanted to, they're achieving great success in life, and their experiences are going to be well served.
And they're young, both of them.
You forgot to mention the great ushering at the musical as well.
No, I didn't.
I couldn't find my seat.
I was able to
I
find
got no help. I was told to go find it on my own. Specifically.
That was just directed right to you.
No, in all honesty, the Music Friends does a phenomenal job of doing things like getting the brochures together, the seating and everything else that they do, which really helps bring the musical together by allowing the directors to concentrate on what they really need to do, and that's the performance. So thank you to Music Friends.
Any other board member reports? Hearing none, moving on to item 7, resolution action items. 7A, early college credit program applications for the semester 1 of 2018-19 school year.
Motion to approve early college credit applications for semester 1 for the 2018-2019 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So as you see here, this is the new program, the early college credit program and Start College Now for the youth options. So these are the new programs, and so similar opportunity for kids to take on high school credits college credits outside of their high school environment. So with the addition of CAP and other opportunities for students right within our home, you can see that, it's actually, these are lower numbers than we've seen more recently as far as students taking advantage of this. But it is the old youth options program. I don't know, Donna, if you have anything to add?
No, just, I guess one thing to note is there is the 4 requests for the CNA, and the request for Marquette is the first one we've had. So the tuition there is at full price, but looking to get a reduction potentially with that.
So what's the possibility, and I understand this is difficult, but for 12 years I've been thinking about this. Every time we talk about these, we have anywhere from 4 to 8 CNA people every semester. What's the possibility of running a CNA 1 semester course? And I understand it may take a teacher that's doing something different the second or first semester, but if we're having 4 to 8 every semester, I'm sure there's many more people that are interested in taking that if we ought to. Maybe we should look at that a little bit deeper.
We did look at it a few years ago and talked with, and I don't know, Dawn, if you're in position to talk about that, with Christie's looked at it more recently as well. And it's really the lab section that would require students to still go to WCTC to get that experience unless we built a lab. And it's a potential. I mean, we could certainly also look into the true costs of that as well. But yeah, we could certainly we can continue to look at that and look at an option for it to be on site. We also have had conversations like with Regency and, trying to build some partnerships in our community, and there's some hesitation there too with HIPAA.
And I'm not really thinking about the $500 that we're paying for each student to do this at WCTC. I'm thinking about, is it important enough to our high school and our community to have it offered because of the number of people that want to take that? And I'm sure that, there's many more that would like to take that in high school.
Agreed.
Just the 4 that reach out for the youth options, so.
We can look at that again.
I don't know what it would cost to build a lab. I'm sure it's not inexpensive, but maybe something to look at.
Sure.
So at CTC, I take it they have the lab in-house?
How is their program? Are they overflowing right now, or?
I don't know. Doesn't seem like we have problems getting our students to take the class and,
Because my thought is they've partnered with this district in the past for other things where they don't have, they just don't have the room anymore or something like that, where they'll do satellite. They did that with our auto shop years ago, where they stuck all this Toyota money in doing Toyota certifications at one point. So would they be interested in maybe making an investment to have a south campus? Right.
Sure. Thank you.
I'll share that back with Christy too.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to discussion items. Item 8A, 2018-19 budget assumptions. Julie.
So we start the budget process again. We are in the second year of the state's biennial budget, so we know a few more things than we would if it was completely unknown, and we're in the first year. However, we still don't know specifically how the state is going to put the equalization aid across our systems, and also, where the money comes from depends on how we spend versus how other schools spend. And so there's still a lot of variables that we have to work through. But we do have some assumptions here that we are going to use to build the budget moving forward. Looking at our expenditure assumptions, our health and dental increases, our health insurance increase, we're going to budget about 2%. We are running well with our health insurance. We didn't have an increase this past year, so we think 2% is very reasonable. Dental insurance, an increase by 3%. Our district uses dental insurance to the max, so we always have to look at potentially increasing there, which is good. We want people to use the insurance. Utility increases, 2%. And again, that's factoring in kind of utilities across our system with all of the changes that will be happening, in addition to just the increases that we see annually anyway. And then salary increases, again, we're aligning those to CPI and the compensation models, and we always bring those forward to you individually as the budget process proceeds forward. Transportation increases by a 2.6%, and that's contractual. As far as revenue assumptions, we are not getting any more money per student for revenue limit increase, and no new equalization aid. However, the aid was put into the categorical aid pot. So again, that is outside of the revenue limit. It doesn't affect our tax levy one way or the other. So we are getting $204 more per student this year, or per FTE, which gives us a total of $654 per pupil if you add on what we got this current year. Again, all of the that revenue that increased to the budget, we have factored in those increases to help support the projects that we are looking at completing. So as we look at, finalizing the pool and some of those things, a lot of the new dollars are being put toward those finishing up those projects. As far as enrollment assumptions, we will continue to run our scenarios based on flat enrollment, an increase of 50 students, and a decrease of 50 students. And every year, Jeff Kelly and I look at enrollment. Jeff does a really in-depth analysis to look at from March to August how many students we increase on average, and so that's been pretty consistent over the past couple of years. So we can anticipate where we're going to be a little bit sooner, but again, we don't know until September what our actual enrollment counts are going to be. Open enrollment seats, you approved those back in January, so we'll use those assumptions as we continue moving forward. And then based on all of these assumptions and all of 3 enrollment scenarios, the general fund tax levy, our overall tax levy is expected to decrease for the 8th year in a row. What it looks like right now, based on the assumptions that are coming from DPI for the guarantees for aid, which does have an impact on our tax levy, it is likely that we'll be able to see a decreasing tax levy without actually having to use a majority of that defeasance money we set aside last year. So we'll be able to carry that forward in fund balance for debt and still see a decrease in our levy. So we will bring back specifics to you as we proceed more into the next couple of months and after we have more of our personnel and staffing plans laid out for you.
So a general statement that could be made is we're looking at approximately $1 million additional in aid.
Mm-hmm. Yep, those, and again, those additional dollars we've factored in. If we go back to that, if you remember, for all the alternative projects, we're looking at that colored document. We have a line item in each year that shows the general operating budget and how we're going to contribute those funds to each of those individual projects. So those additional dollars will help us to support the expenditure assumption increases as well as help to complete those projects. And we can bring that back too as we go through the budget process so you can see where those dollars are going. Overall, we are looking to bring back a balanced budget from an operational perspective. And that's, again, we are assuming though that we will use some fund balance to finalize the pool project, and we won't be spending those dollars until 18-19, so there will be that use of fund balance. But for our general operations purposes, we will assume a balanced budget as well.
You made a comment about dental insurance, that we're a high user of that.
Yes.
Is that part of our self-insurance as well?
We are self-insured.
Who's managing? Who oversees that one?
Delta Dental.
Delta. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So have we looked at benefit levels on those?
So we actually have a $2,000 benefit level that pays 100% for all procedures. Orthodontics obviously is less, and then crowns and some of those other things. The root canals themselves are 100%, but crowns are 50%. So we do have a high benefit level that we offer compared to some of the other plans around. A lot of times you see $1,000 maximum for the year, and we have a $2,000.
So it might be something to look at as far as looking at the benefit levels in that, because if we're ever going to make changes in benefits, I'd rather do the dental than the health insurance, so.
Okay. Okay, we'll consider that as we bring all those pieces forward before June.
Any questions for Julie in regards to this?
Just, I know you mentioned it, but with that additional $1 million in aid that we believe we're going to get, I would like to see a breakdown, like you were saying, of where it's going, or where you plan on it going.
Okay.
Because when we talk about levy decrease, if we decide to do that, I mean, there's the money that could assist us in doing that. So we got to make sure that if we're going to use all of that extra $1 million that we're receiving, we know exactly where it's going and what it's being used for, and that we feel it's an appropriate use of it. And I know we got a lot of projects, so I'm not questioning that.
Sure. No, absolutely.
But it would be nice just so we see how it's laid out.
Yep. And all of the assumptions, again, these are very general assumptions. As we proceed forward, we'll put numbers to those for you, so you'll be able to see the ins and outs.
So I think the first thing we will hear is taxpayers typically see increase in aid and what their increase or decrease in levy is. That's the two big things they see. And if they don't really coincide somewhat, they're going to question that. So we have to have evidence that we're using it in the best way we can or appropriately.
Right. Well, and we have to be mindful that there's a revenue cap that you get penalized for in future years by not using that, so.
Yeah, we can definitely bring back that detail for you, though.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, information follow-up. There's a couple items listed there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just have a question, probably for Jeremiah. Are we on schedule now with the pool, or are we, I know we were a little bit behind before?
Yeah, so about 18 days ago, we encountered some unsuitable soils. Anytime you're excavating, you have to bring in a third-party company to assure that you can put a footing down. And so they said, you gotta go 2 feet deeper. And 2 feet deeper, we found some contaminated soils. After further testing, it was gasoline. It just so happens to be at an area where all of the water keeps migrating towards, so any of the runoff or any of the snow melt. So they brought in a pump truck last week and pumped 4 full truckloads out at a premium to see if that would take it all out. It just kept refilling, so I think I figured out where our leak went. So we have a strategy meeting this Wednesday to really come around schedule. They are getting past the point where we will hit the August 1st deadline unless we pay a premium, so we have to outweigh, should we relocate girls swim to someplace else, or should we pay the premium to work overtime on Saturdays to meet that deadline, so.
Are they going to have a number for us on that premium? So initial meeting, they were just kind of saying, you want to pay the premium. And I was like, well, I can't take that to the board, I need a number. So,
and what's our option for the girls going to where, and what's that going to cost? You don't have to answer that.
Right.
That's
we would
I did talk to Ryan tonight, and he did secure a facility in the event that we have to leave, and he thought the facility cost would be free, but the busing would be a cost to bus either in the morning.
How far away?
I think he was thinking south, so I'll trust him.
That's not bad for busing.
Any other questions on the project update?
Anything on fiber? What are we doing? Are they digging? Are they pushing fiber?
So we've finally got work across Cheng, which is a big step for us to get to that point. We're clear almost to Lake Danoon in terms of that whole process, so that's another area. And we have dug laid in the ground to the district office. So that way, obviously, Muskego Lakes Middle School is our first priority, and that will be coming soon. And then Bay Lane and the path leading up to Mill Valley will be down Racine Avenue. So those are moving forward. We've had some pretty friendly weather, so that's been great, and other than that, things are very much on target. So no feedback on having a surprise.
Any other questions on any projects? Multiple ones we have going on. I'm going to share what you called me about today. We did have we're going through the high school bleacher issue right now. We got a bill for the permitting. It's rather high in the city. I'm guessing they pulled the number out of a hat because there's no line item that says bleachers, because who else would be building bleachers around the community? Questioning about it, they cut it in half. It's still rather high. We're working through that process to see where it's at. I've talked to some aldermen that thought it seemed high too, so we'll see what the city comes back with, but just want to let you guys know that they're working with us right now on that.
We did ask for a time and materials basis to see if it costs $4,000, then we'd pay it, but at least it'd be outlined in the time and materials basis.
So. Anything else, projects? Any other requests for any other information follow-up? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 8:49. Thank you.